Welcome to the Women Conquer Business Show. I'm Jen McFarland, joined by Shelley Carney. We're your go-to small business marketing show, covering breaking marketing news that affects you, cool apps we found, and a how-to deep dive into a marketing topic with a side of motivation and inspiration. We'll also talk a little about our own entrepreneurial journeys as well. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hey. Welcome to Women Conquer Business.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing, Shelley?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Jen McFarland, joined by Shelley Carney. This is like, what did we end up calling it? The big finish, the signing off,
Signing off.
Yeah. So for the past year, Shelley and I have collaborated on providing all of you with marketing how-tos, deep dives, apps we found. You know, I'm not going to quote our intro, but we've done all of the things. And, we were texting, what was that? Like over like Happy New Year and like texting each other. And Shelley was like, I'm thinking about changing some things. And I was like, I'm thinking about changing some things too. And we realized that the arc of this show as we know it is over.
Yeah, we filled our cup. So now, and it's time to drink.
Yeah. So
It's time to drink.
It was a little early for me, but whatever, do you, boo? It is 11 it is 11 over there in New Mexico.
Yeah. It's
5 o'clock somewhere. So I mean, this is a little emotional for me, and Shelley keeps saying like, stop, it's fine. But I'm
It is emotional for me as well. I don't want to leave Jen, but we do feel like this piece of content is complete.
Exactly. And like for me, the emotions are because in 2020 I ended very unceremoniously. Because 2020 was so hard. I mean, I had like my whole life as I knew it was over, and so then and I was like, I just can't do this anymore. But I never told anybody. Like, it was just this weird thing where the podcast just sort of disappeared. And every week I would think, oh my God, I need to do a thing, make a thing, and I didn't. And then I met Shelley and she was like, well, you seem to have this gap, you seem to feel like this isn't done, and I was like, yeah, that's really true. That's really the thing. And so we talked about it and we started doing this like a year ago. And now it's and we know it's over. And for me, I'm still just I think it's that I've been doing this since 2018 off and on. And right now I'm kind of saying, nope, not for a while.
Yeah.
And Shelley and I aren't doing it together. For me, a lot of the emotions are coming up around kind of all of it. So, but we have made so much cool stuff over the last year. I mean, Shelley did a great job last week putting together a composite of what all of you have liked the best. But the question I have for Shelley is, what episodes are your favorites that you would want to share with people that you've really enjoyed? What are some of the topics? What are some of the things that we've talked about over the last year that have just been maybe surprising or that you enjoyed talking about? And you're like, I wasn't ready for this question, Jen.
Well, I think I told you that sometimes you demystified and simplified some things. I was all about learning SEO last year. I was like, I got to learn what this is and how to do this. And you're like, you talk about the things you know and you answer people's questions, and that's SEO. And I'm like, no, it can't be that easy. But you kept
SEO
all the time. Every show, something would come up about SEO or how to use social media correctly, and I was absorbing it the whole time. And then I got to a place where I was saying it, okay. And I would explain it to people and how it was done. And then I'm like, now I really need to implement it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. It's one thing to simplify it, but simple doesn't always mean easy. And that's kind of what I'm hearing you say to, in one thing is like, yeah, but then you also have to find the right questions that you can
Mhm.
answer for people. And then you
Yeah.
have to think about how you're going to talk about it. And then you have to, and there's just so many pieces. Like in some ways, talking about SEO in those terms is an oversimplification. However, because SEO is multidimensional and there's all these different things to it, and at the same time, a lot of the work that I do with small business owners and solopreneurs is how do I get you to the place where you're able to take action?
Yeah.
And the way that you take action on something like SEO is, oh, well, I answer questions all the time. That's how I start. And it is. It's a starting point for research and all different kinds of elements. I think that for me, it was, you taught me how we could do this week in and week out. Like, we
Mhm.
got this down to, like I don't think this is why I'm a little emotional, but we did get this down to where we just, like, knew exactly what was gonna happen, and it is a shame. I love a good process, and, like, now that we have this process and, like, I'm saying goodbye to this process, and it's phenomenal, and anybody who's like, "Wow, creating a consistent content framework." I mean, we did it
Yeah.
for a year. Like, so anybody who's like, "I don't know," like, the proof is in the pudding here on how that works. Fundamentally, what you've been talking about, we've been walking that talk for a year.
Mhm. Mhm. I I hope people did watch last week's show and enjoy it because I enjoyed putting it together, seeing us talking through those things again, and remembering, how much fun we had. Just even when I was in Arizona helping take care of my mom, I could still do the show and have fun with you.
Yeah,
That
totally,
hour of camaraderie together that we would have. And it helped me, every week to feel up and excited about my business again. So,
totally. Same.
that's what creating can do for somebody. That's what it does for me. And I'm not going to stop creating.
Me
Toby and
either.
I are going to keep putting all of our energy into our new channel, our New Mexico Day Trips channel. We love going out in the field, visiting places, and creating videos about where we're going and what we're doing. We're going to incorporate newspaper articles and blog posts and grow a blog on it. And so Toby and I have learned a lot about content marketing this year that we're going to put into effect. We're going to implement all of these things. We're going back to square one with learning more and more about YouTube and all the changes that have happened. Because a couple of weeks ago, we put out a short on our new channel, and we went
Yeah.
from 60 subscribers to 80 subscribers because of the shorts. And we're like, oh, okay, we need to learn more about this. And
Well, yeah, and you did something really, I mean, you talked about that, how you did this cool short where it was not just talking heads,
right.
like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it was video of action, and I
Mhm.
think that that is something that, this experience we can't offer, especially since I'm in Portland, you're in New Mexico. I mean, we can't go out and have, like, dynamic marketing adventures. Like, that's
Yeah,
just not part of what we can do, unfortunately.
right.
Um, but, it's awesome to see that you're able to do that, and then you can take those SEO tools and apply them because really, I mean, I've always looked at YouTube as being a giant search engine. So
Mhm.
it's like, you're taking the knowledge of what we've talked about and you're just gonna go, and apply it. I made a short earlier in the week and it got like instant subscribers too. And I have to say that was pretty gratifying.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool too. We're just constantly learning and having fun. And making this stuff takes time,
Yep.
and that's part of what's going on, I think, for both of us is
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time putting together a lot of courses and a lot of content, and we've spent a year giving you all of the resources for free. And now it's time to start, making things in with more depth, for people who are engaged with the content, and willing to pay to go deeper so that they can get things like worksheets and ways of integrating these types of tactics into their business. And that's really what I'm going to be working on. I also told Shelley that, I also have a revenue source for making audio lessons. I'm definitely going to go back to doing that. So
Mm.
audio lessons will be available in the strategic marketing membership, which is the membership group that I'm forming, and then also be sent to the third party where historically I've made lessons and they get sold to it's like my content is licensed and it's a non-exclusive license, and I'm going to go back to doing that non-exclusive license. We didn't do that with any of this content because this was a joint venture partnership, but I'm going to go back to doing that, and it's exciting to do that too. Although it's weird, it's going to be weird to go back to teaching lessons talking to myself. I don't think I'm I'm not used to that anymore. I'm used to having somebody else around.
Yeah, yeah. It helps. It helps to have that conversation. And, for the last couple of weeks, you and I and Toby and I, we just show up. We're just talk because we're like, well, let's just trust that we know what we're doing and what we're talking about. At this point, we've been doing it long enough to know the structure and the format, and that we can trust each other to fill in those empty spaces with something really good. So it's kind of cool that we've gotten to that point where we have that trust in our own knowledge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in each other. See,
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of co-hosts out there who don't give it enough time.
Mm.
Like if we went back and we listened to something from did we start in like late January? Is that right?
January
It's almost
13th.
so literally almost a year ago. Those
Yeah.
first few shows afterwards, I was like, I don't know, are we going to be able to pull this off? Is this We don't really know each other well enough. Like, that was, like, the monologue in my head, and then now we're
Mhm.
kinda like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" Like, it's just like we just pick up and go,
Yeah.
and I just wanna encourage anybody out there who's like, we should you don't have to have a show with somebody that is your best friend. Like, you can have a show with somebody that you don't know very well, and then you grow to become more comfortable with each other, and that growth I think is exciting for the listeners and the viewers as well. So, um, take this as an example of how you can build like a positive relationship and a partnership with somebody, and then, it doesn't have to last forever, but our friendship will.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha.
Or like this morning we showed up and we're like, I don't
What
want
do
to not
we
see you anymore.
I
Ah,
know.
don't leave me, Jen.
Well, we always have text and
Yes.
phone and well, I guess StreamYard. I was gonna say Zoom, but you don't even do Zoom, so
I can do Zoom. I can do with the Google one too.
the Google one, the Google Meets.
Yeah.
So
I can do it all. I got the camera.
so
That's I'm good. I'm set.
do you have, like what's coming up on your channel? What's coming up?
So we went to Grants and we went to the mining museum in Grants, and
Cool.
we talked about that last night. And we shared that at this mining museum, you take the elevator down, and the whole bottom floor is constructed as a uranium mine. And you
Oh,
go to
wow.
the different
Okay.
stations and you push the little button, and uh, the speaker out of the speakers comes these voices of these men who were miners, and they talk
Ah,
about that part of the mine that you're seeing and how it worked and what they did, and it's really fascinating. So we made a video about that, and then next week we're going to talk about El Malpais, which is the Badlands or the volcanic
oh, wow. Okay.
flow uh, in the Grants area, and we visited there. So we're going to talk about that. And tomorrow we're going to the Ghost Ranch. There's a couple of museums there. One's on paleontology, one's on archaeology and anthropology. It's all in there.
That's a
So
lot
we're
of
gonna do
ology.
that tomorrow, and that should be, I mean, Saturday. That should be a lot of fun. So we've got tons of content, and when we do our videos, we put a camera on the front hood of the truck, and then we put a camera on the inside of the vehicle pointing at us. So you get to see us and what we're seeing. And when we go into a museum, I'm holding one camera pointed at us. So you see us, and then you see Toby's filming what we're seeing. So you always get that front and back view. It's pretty cool.
Is
Yeah, it's very
Toby
different.
wearing a GoPro?
He does. He wears a GoPro on his chest.
Does he
Uh,
really? Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. He calls it the chesty, and it's
Of
actually
course
not
he
a
does.
GoPro. It's a Leica GoPro, but it's a DJI product because we love, or he,
Oh,
he's a fan of
I like
DJI.
them too.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
action cam, and really, really quality camera. So we enjoy using it, and we are also talking about the equipment we use. We have an equipment list on Amazon. We're like I said, we're going to start blogging and putting out newspaper articles, and it's a lot. It's fun, and it's really exciting for us.
Yeah.
But we're not stopping. We have one client right now, and we're still working with her through all of the things that she needs, and we're learning more and more about growing on YouTube, so people can come to us and say, I want to grow a YouTube channel. I want to travel. I want to do this too, but I want to do it in my state. Well, hey, we can
Yeah.
teach you how to do it. So eventually we'll probably make a course on all the steps involved and growing a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I have a big SEO client right now,
Mhm.
and that's super exciting. But like part of that project is working with video and creating like these great campaigns that, it's just neat, when you kind of start to build those muscles and that skill set around, editing videos and putting things
Mhm.
out and helping people. Now I can make campaigns, like video-based campaigns that can go out to celebrate an anniversary or do something like that. I have another client that, I think is gonna hire me to do that, and that's pretty cool. Like, it's just exciting because video is such a big part of marketing,
Yeah, let's
so
talk a
hopping
little
on
bit
and
about
doing
what
it.
you see coming into marketing and into our world in 2023 since you brought that up.
It's your turn to put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Ta-da! It's interesting. So there are a lot of things happening. There's Chat GPT, which if you're not using that to have a conversation with and learn more about your ideal customers and what they care about, like use it for that. Don't just go like write a blog about blah blah blah. Go in there and start thinking about it like a chat bot where you can just ask it questions and get some information and dive deeper. Um, you can use that then to go in and make videos. I think that what is gonna continue to happen, it's been the trend for a long time, is it's gonna be video. I think that there's gonna be more and more emphasis on shorter. So it's, if you wanna make longer videos, then you still have to, and this is what Shelley was just talking about, you have to support that with shorter clips and videos, how to like quick hits, things like that, that get people interested in what it is that you do. I always think, and I think Shelley has talked about this in terms of video, you always want to have something that's kind of fun and exciting. Like just talking, a lot of people just kind of skip through that, especially on a
Mm.
platform like LinkedIn. The thing I'm really curious about or watching is what is like I have this blog post I'm working on right now that's like, what the heck, social media? Like there's so much going on in social media right
Mm.
now that is just uncertain. Like is TikTok, what's gonna happen with that in the States? I can't imagine that it's gonna go away, but I could be wrong. Um, but Facebook is in decline. We've got Elon Musk owning Twitter. Like that, a lot of that is uncertain. Then which then to me, I'm kind of like, cool. Believe it or not. I kind of, in what I do, I kind of like social media being a little crazy because it
Mm.
helps with making content marketing even more important. And what that means is continue to be consistent on social media, but then you're also gonna be using other forms of content to help, so use these tools that are available to help you write blog posts and create videos, but then always remember to send people back to your website. Because in
Mhm.
some ways, marketing is getting back to its roots
Yeah.
in some regards, where it is for small business, it really is about consistency on social media supported by words. So email marketing supported by, I mean, that's really what I see. And it's kind of weird to like talk about it that way, to kind of be like, well, the trends, I see you're a trend going back, and but it's different because it's supported by all of these new tools that are really innovative. I mean, there was no chat GPT, AI lately. None of that existed back 5 years ago when
Right.
I started my business. So it's like, yeah, we're going to rely on some of the other organic methods because there's a lot of uncertainty, but how we get there is now much more efficient. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm pretty excited about.
Mhm. Well, when you bring up shorts, Toby said, "Well, maybe we should just make shorts then. They do so well." And I was like, "Well, to me, if I saw a short and I was like, oh, I would like to know more about that. I want to visit there. So let me go to their channel." And it was all
Uh-huh.
shorts, I'd be disappointed. I want to see, shorts as bringing people in. And then there's the long video that gives me all the information I need to go to that place and really enjoy it, and to know about it. Like, is my child going to enjoy it, or is my pet allowed to be there, or answer those questions. Is it ADA approved? Is there a way for people in a wheelchair to get around in this facility? How much does it cost? And are there hotels nearby, or should I stay in Albuquerque and go from there? There's all these questions that people are going to have. So if you only put out shorts, it's not going to answer those questions. And the
Yeah.
questions that they ask, this is kind of fun. This is something that I've learned this year. I went ahead and entered in, New Mexico Mining Museum, and then I look for what are the top things that come up, and then I look
Yeah.
for other questions people ask, and how can we answer that in our content. So everything I've
Yeah.
learned, I am using in this channel to really be a content creator who can grow an audience and a community.
Yeah. And then
And
you
I think
take
that's key
parts
this
of
year.
that and yeah, and
Yeah.
you take parts of that and then you put that back on your website. There are certain things people look for in travel. And so, really diving into other travel blogs, other people who have grown bigger channels than you, and
Yeah.
then using the content knowledge that you have to build it in a similar way that is really catered to your audience is really what's going to help, you know, be successful. And
Yeah.
that's always what marketing fundamentally has always been about. I think that the thing that also excites me is that, over the past year working with so many people from Accelerate Women, it's a women's fund here, I've really started to see a lot of pretty cool patterns. And so a lot of the content that I'm working on right now is addressing the patterns of issues that people have that I'm excited. I'm sad because people have issues, but I'm excited because I'm starting to understand how I can help people in a different way and more. And that's pretty exciting to me because, I always am looking for how can I make things more attainable for people? How can I help people understand how to show up in a way that, makes a lot of sense for people. Hey, oh, Jeep Girl Jody came for the sign off. Look at
That's right.
that.
That's right. She is one of our most loyal viewers, so
She actually is. Yeah. Thanks for being here.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm stoked. I hope you do.
Mm.
Yeah, I hope you go to Hatch
Oh, yeah, we
because
will.
I like Hatch. And then of course, Truth or
Although
Consequences.
I've been to Hatch before during the, chili, uh, harvest time when they're selling you all the different chili things out of their little tents and
Yeah.
everything, and it's like, I thought it would have been bigger. When I saw it, I was like, "I thought it would have been bigger." Um, because they take the chilies and they send them up to Albuquerque, to all the grocery stores, and they grocery stores get these huge bags of Hatch chilies, and then you can have them roasted in the tumbling roaster grill thing, if you want to do that. So all throughout August and part of September, you're smelling that in the air, the roasting chilies. So we'll get there, but, it may be disappointing, who knows? Well,
I don't
we were
know.
really surprised by how much we enjoyed Grants, and we're definitely going back there. It's a place that we normally just drive on by on
Drive
the way
through.
somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, there were some cool places in New Mexico, that I would like to investigate more, but, you know, being as I'm in Oregon,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's probably not gonna happen. So, yeah, I don't know. I wonder if Jeep Girl Jody knows this is the last go.
I think so because we talked about
Okay.
it in our newsletter, and I'm sure she's
Did
on
we?
our
Okay.
newsletter
On the
list. Yeah.
newsletter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she
So,
loves our advice.
what do you see on the horizon in terms of marketing?
I don't know, there's a really big shakeup right now. Facebook, laid off so many people, Twitter laid off so many people. I just read today that Salesforce is going to be letting go of 10% of their, employees. They
Mhm.
have 80,000 right now, so they're gonna knock that down, by 8,000 people in the next year and a half. They said they overhired, during the pandemic, and I see a lot of that right now. There's a big shakeup, in
Mhm.
the tech industries, and these online places that do business online and help people do business online. So I don't know, it's a little weird right now. It's a little
Yeah,
up in the air.
my, you know, ability to see the future is it's a little difficult right now, to be honest, because they also had to hire tons of people during the pandemic,
Mhm.
right? So that affects things because they're laying people off. So it's like, well, are we going back? And we're not because so many things have changed. But
Yeah, but
what were they
people now
focused
have,
on?
satisfied their needs for tech, like, people who really needed to work online have already purchased all of the things that they need to do that, and now that, where they're buying the gadgets and the laptops and the cameras and all of the things they need to work out of their home, they've got that now, so that has purchasing has dropped off and inflation has moved up, so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy. Thank you so much for saying you'll still be around to support us. We'll still be here. We'll still be
yeah,
making stuff.
that's
We
right.
just won't be here every week together making stuff. So
We're
that's
gonna come up with something
we'll
to
figure
do
it out.
together. I just know it because Jen and I can't stay away from each other now.
We'll
It's like
figure it out.
we've built this, dependency on each other.
Yeah, if you
We
could
don't
see our
have
texts,
as much fun if Jen's not around.
But, and to your point, they also, Meta overhired,
Mhm,
honestly, to, like, go all in on their virtual reality stuff that kind of flopped, so that's part of it, but the Salesforce thing is a little interesting. Um, I don't know, y you know, we'll just see. We'll just see what happens with the future. There are a lot of offices that are going back, but then, like, my husband's, for example, they're never going back to the way it was before,
mm,
but people have also bought the infrastructure. So I don't know how many more purchases there are. I mean, I own a lot of tech stocks and it is weird, like, to see like the kind of the cycle. I mean, I believe me, I was riding pretty high there for a while during COVID where I was like, woo, yeah, like my all of my stocks that are like anti-hacking and like I had Zoom for a while. I mean, it was just, it was great. And now
yeah,
everything is just I mean, even
changing.
Amazon stock even
Yeah,
is just like,
they had a big layoff too, yeah.
they had a big layoff. So these could all be signs of a recession. These could all be, there's so many things out there. What that means for small businesses, what that means for our marketing, a lot of that is, yet to be seen.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, there are some things that are always going to be true, and I think we stick to those. We know that, for instance, YouTube is a well-regarded company that's been around for a long time, and Alphabet is huge, and, they haven't had the big layoffs yet, so hopefully that won't happen to them.
No.
They've just been slowly growing, slowly adding on, and they continue to work with creators to keep themselves strong, by having that they understand that creators are their product, and bring advertisers in because of the creators,
Mhm.
so they have to work together, and they've got that down now, and they know what it happens when they disregard creators, so they're not gonna do that again unless,
Well, never say never, but yeah, they're
unless
gonna try
something
not to.
really crazy happens, but yeah, I think we're diving deep into YouTube because we have that trust that it's going to be there. It's going to continue to grow. They're even, helping podcasters to grow now that podcasting is kind of leveled, and people are like, well, do I really want to do this? And between Spotify and YouTube, we do have a lot of incentives to continue to do podcasting. So I think
Sure.
that'll keep happening, but I don't think it's gonna have the huge growth that it has in the past few years.
And let's to be fair, I mean, Apple didn't lay off people either, but that doesn't mean that Apple and Google aren't facing their own headwinds. Google's facing all kinds of headwinds overseas. There were more states who got on board with privacy initiatives, so that's difficult for Google. Google's also fighting Chat GPT to make sure that all this garbage content that isn't edited without a human touch isn't littering the internet and making SEO better. We know that younger people are using Reddit and TikTok for search. It's just a challenging time. But to your point, I know that I know that Google and Apple and everybody they're still going to be around. It's not really going anywhere yet. I mean, these things could change, but it's at the same time, we have to acknowledge all of the headwinds that are going on.
Yeah. Jeep Girl Jody says, "We just got through a hard time. Some are still in the thick of it.
Yeah.
But the next thing to come is a renaissance, and us humans will come back together and create more art, music, content."
I hope so. Amen. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Use everything as fuel for, expression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We live in a time where, you know, anybody can make something. So why not make things?
Yeah. I
Why
agree.
not?
Yeah, express yourself. And, I think last year, Toby and I experimented a lot. We had 4 shows going and kinda
Oh,
had to
wow.
see which one was gonna work. Well, I had 4 shows going. He had 2. I had 4 shows going. I had to see what was working, what was, going to bring me the most joy. And when we settled on New Mexico day trips as the one that brings us the most joy and the most togetherness and builds memories and all of that, things started to
Yeah.
spark that yes, this is the right choice and let's do that. So um, let's throw up some exciting fireworks for us today to celebrate the new year and all we've got going
All
on.
we've got going on and all
Yeah.
that you have going on out there as well, because we know that you've got a lot happening. You're going through your own renaissance. I think I will say that I can't remember what I wrote in the text, but I think you were kind of intimating like, you're going to work on this and maybe not that. And then I said, well, we don't have to keep doing Women Conquer Business. And how it was kind of like, when you're a creator and you have to go with the thing that brings you the most joy.
Yeah.
And I think that that was one of the things that I said to you, and then I was like,
Mhm.
"Well, YOLO," like,
Yeah.
so I'm glad that we did this together, and I'm glad that we're continuing to make stuff and that, we're both following our bliss.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we did what we needed to do to get to here, but,
Yeah,
you can't get to the next level doing the same things. You have got to try new stuff to get to the next level,
yeah,
so
and we're all
that's what we do.
evolving and adapting.
Yeah.
So we are hoping that you will be evolving and adapting, and I will say that as the owner of the Women Conquer Business brand, we are not going anywhere, and I'll be continuing to make content. And for Shelley, they are going to continue making content. This is merely a shift in us making stuff together
Yeah, for the moment. Who
for the
knows what
time
comes
being. You
next
never
until
know.
we get there.
So is this a wrap? Are we done? Is this it?
Well, I wanted to share one more story with you. I shared
Cool.
this with Jen before we started, but I want to share it with the audience as well. So I talked about how things started to spark when we started to focus in on the travel channel. And Toby and I went to Grant's. We were at the El Malpais Visitor Center. We were watching the film that they had put up. And in the film, they had N. Scott Momaday. He's a Native American writer, author. He was on there reading some of his quotes from his books and stories. And there was a particular quote that he read, and Toby and I looked at each other. We repeated it to each other. We smiled, and it kind of became this is what we're doing in 2023. And I wanted to share the quote with you guys, and maybe it'll inspire you the way it inspired us. He says, "There is a great good in returning to a landscape that has had extraordinary meaning in one's life. It happens that we return to such places in our minds irresistibly. There are certain villages and towns, mountains and plains, that having seen them, walked in them, lived in them, even for a day, we keep forever in the mind's eye. They become indispensable to our well-being. They define us, and we say, 'I am who I am because I have been there or there.'" And that's from N. Scott Momaday, Revisiting Sacred Ground in the Man Made of Words.
It's beautiful.
I am who I am because I have been there. And it's not just a place, it's the whole. Jen and I are who we are because of what we went through in the last year together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Totally. And you who are watching and listening are the same. Oh, can you post that saying someplace? Can you put that in the chat?
It's a little long, but let me try.
We're working on it.
I will try. I will put it. I will give it to Jen to put it in her description as well. So.
Okay. Yeah, it is absolutely true. And there we go.
There it is.
And I think that that's an acknowledgement. We spend a lot of time rushing around and racing around and getting as much done as we can, as quickly as I can. And sometimes we have to pause and say, I am who I am because I have been there.
Yeah.
And we have to figure out where to go next. So we want to encourage you to continue your journeys and to continue your self-discovery and see where it leads.
And we want to thank you for spending this year with us. And we hope that you got value from our content. We hope that you felt seen and heard and understood by somebody who is very similar to you and has the same issues going on in their lives, and that it made you feel less alone and a little more motivated.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for joining the Women Conquer Business podcast, hosted by Shelley Carney and Jen McFarland. Please subscribe and leave a comment or question regarding your most challenging content creation or business problem. Then share this podcast with family and friends so they can find the support they need to expand their brand and share their message with the world. Check the show notes for links to valuable resources and come back again next week.